See, believe, achieve.
This is former UFC middleweight champion of the world, Michael Bisping.
Paddy the Baddy here. You're listening to Combat Sports UK.
And you're watching Combat Sports
Always
UK.
great catching up with my next guest. Trey Ogden got a big fight here against Nikolas Motta, UFC Fight Night, November 18th. That is right around the corner. Trey, how's it going, man?
Living the dream, bro. How are you?
Yeah, we'll start there, man. How's fatherhood? I know, I got two boys. I know it's the best feeling in the world. How much has that kind of elevated you, not only as a fighter, but a person?
Well, it's definitely making me a better person. You know what I mean? I think like having a baby, and especially a baby girl, like there's times like you have to be, she's teaching me like patience, because I was telling my wife last night, I was like, I've been meaning to talk to her about her maturity level. She's 10 months old, So it's like she has something she's not supposed to have, and I take it away from her. She throws a temper tantrum, and I can't just be like, stop it. You know what I mean? And so learning to be softer, I think is good.
Yeah, I got that. My 2-year-old, he is like Mr. Stubborn. So if he doesn't like something, he will start throwing stuff. And it's something that's completely new because my older son never did that. So it's just something you got to understand the personalities. But before people think this is a TLC show or something, we got to talk about your fight here.
Let's go.
You and Nikolas, I believe, have the same management. So was it pretty easy to put this one together?
Yeah, it came to me. I don't ask for particular opponents or anything. It got brought to my attention, Nikolas Motta, October or something. I said, I'm in. They said, Nikolas said he needs more time because of his last fight, like the concussion or whatever. I said, as long as it's before the end of the year, I'm in.
There you go.
I knew I was only going to get to fight one more time this year anyways. So they said, cool, hit me with the date. It's my birthday week. That always goes good for me. So simple.
Ready to rock and roll. Was this the right amount of time off? Were you hoping to fight a bit sooner than this? I know initially it was October.
Sooner.
But yeah,
sooner.
Okay. Yeah,
sooner than that, I wanted to fight, man. After the last fight, the only way to fix that is with actions. And so I wanted to fight the second I got out of the cage. I've been asking to, But sometimes when you lose, they sit you for a second, let you think about what you did. So
that's one way of putting it. Yeah.
I'm very excited to have the opportunity to correct it because it's been a long, I think 10 months, 7, hold on. I fought in April. So what are we at? 7 months. So it's been a long 7 months of sitting on the disappointment of that last fight because I'm fully capable of beating Bahamondes. In fact, I think I should just run through him. And I didn't give myself an opportunity to win, but I learned a ton in that fight. So
there you go. Back to the drawing board. And in the meantime, your team's been killing it, man. It's been so cool to see Miles Johns and Garrett Armfield and all these guys like really coming together. And I know we talked about this, I think, in the last interview about how you've really developed this kind of tight-knit team here. That must be rewarding, just, not getting to fight, but getting to kind of live vicariously through these other fighters that you've been working with.
Definitely. Absolutely. It's going great. We've won our team is coming off 3 consecutive wins in the UFC. Besides me, every single roster guy in the UFC in the gym's on a win. I'm going to fix that November 18th, and then the whole team's going to be on a win. And I don't know what more you can do to speak of the level of the work being done in the training room than to have the whole UFC roster on wins. So, and all these performances have been amazing, like starting with Garrett's in Singapore, that beautiful knockout. And then we had, which was Garrett's first win in the UFC, which was a big moment for both of us. My first win as a coach in the UFC. It went flawless. And then, and so much of the things we trained is what actually happened and got executed. And then we rolled into Miles fighting Dan Arguleta, which was an amazing fight, a very, very high pace, fun fight against a very tough opponent. And I thought that went extremely well. And then that was my first win with Miles. And then Mike Breeden in Abu Dhabi, an exhilarating performance, a comeback win. Although like when I watched the fight back, I don't know that we were really losing, but in the moment I thought that we would have to finish him to win. But just an amazing comeback win, just like the energy he got going and the crowd was going crazy. And to come off the momentum of the other two into that one was really special. So it's great. It's great to validation for the work we're doing and the work we're going to continue to do. And this is just the beginning,
How did things switch like when you have a fight coming up? Because I know you're sort of trying to lead the pack when you have like, like you said, Miles or Mike Breeden fighting or any of these guys. But like I imagine as soon as Mike's fight's over, it's kind of like, hey, we gotta, now we gotta get ready. But you also still have to balance the gym and everything else. Like, how do you go about doing that?
Well, one thing is I like train full time year round, so that helps. So
Yeah.
I'm always training, and I've always been training. And so for me, what I need is a tune up in intensity and volume. So I increase intensity, I increase volume, and then my health habits get a lot stricter. I get a lot more discipline on my hours I sleep, a lot more discipline on my diet, a lot more discipline on like beer and all that shit. I need a little bit more like alone time, just a little bit more alone time than normal. You know what I mean? But other than that, nothing changes. I'm still doing one-on-ones with the pros that have fights coming up. I'm still coaching my full schedule. I still run the gym. I just moved on top of it. So
Cool.
We moved last weekend. So
Wow. Okay.
which means I was buying a house all camp and dealing with all that. And then I moved, which is a lot of energy in and of itself. But like I said in the last interview, because I got asked this question in the last one, is like, I don't think that people are getting after it in life like they think they are. And since I opened the gym while being a full-time fighter, and I opened in COVID, so I had to grind and build this gym from nothing. I'm coaching every single weekend. Sometimes I'm traveling half the time it's at home, but I'm almost every weekend I'm coaching jiu-jitsu or MMA. Like I think people think they're full-time and stuff, and they're not. There's a lot of time in the day,
Yeah.
and I use it all the time, every day. Try to be super focused and disciplined and organized, and business as usual, man. I got 3 jobs and I do them all well.
And they're all MMA, right? Which is great. Like, it's not
Correct.
like a case of you have a day job and you're focusing all your energy on that. Like, you're immersed in this so much. So I'm sure that's all you think about is Nikolas Motta while you're coaching and all this other stuff, right? So
I don't think about Nikolas Motta too much because he's not that good. But I do think about my process and refining my process and my craft and my art and my mindset and my spirit and my emotions, which I'll be doing. Sorry, my baby's yanking on my arm. I'll be doing that whether I have a competition or not. You know what I mean? And so I want to be the best version of myself, competition or no competition. I don't understand any other mindset. And so that's kind of where I'm at. But it's I do. So I run the gym, which is running the gym, like coaching full time. I coach full time and then I fight. So I train full time. And so those are both very martial arts related. Outside of that, I study a lot, like any good, very disciplined fighter should, or any good, very disciplined coach should. But where my day job comes in that I do have, if I'm being real about it, is the running the business of the gym is a day job. And it isn't necessarily martial arts, although it supports the mission. But I love it, and it's providing a great life for me and my family. And the truth of the matter is, if you have the time, if you're a man in your 30s, you could do 2 full-time jobs. You're built for it. Men, boss up. Don't be lazy. You got a lot in you. You can squeeze a lot out of you every day. It might be an adjustment, but once you adjust, it's just like running. When you first run, you can run 3 miles and then you're like, oh my God. But then you can get to where you run 10 miles a day and you're not even sore. But your work muscles like that too. But I think the first thing you have to do is, this is an easy decision to make once you're in like full alignment with what is worth you sacrificing all of your energy towards. And so if you can get your head wrapped around a mission that you believe in with your spirit, then working 12 hours a day it's what it is,
Yeah. No, 100% right, man. If I know this is part of coaching as well, but motivational speaking is in your anyone needs a TED Talk, Trey's your guy to talk to right here. Cause that was very, I agree, by the way. I just did this 75 hard program like recently.
Nice.
And like a lot of it is like, you know what it is. Cause the guy's from Missouri, I think originally. But yeah, it's like same sort of thing. You have to plan your day out. Like that's the hardest part is I guess like figuring out like how you're going to slot everything in, and you can do it. Like you can work out twice a day, and I got 2 kids and jobs and all, you know what I mean? Like you're 100% right about what you're choosing to use your time with. So very well said.
And like the thing too is like maybe you can't get it all done every day, but I think like there's 2 things. So I heard this thing by like a motivational, like whatever, like one of these motivational guys, and they're like a business guru. And he was like, essentially what I do is I teach my clients, I go into these CEOs and I'm like, write down what you need to do and rank order it. Like, what is the most important thing? So when I do my to-do list, I literally rank order, like I put it in the order of the most important to least important.
Yeah.
And I get after it all day until I can't do it anymore. I don't like to work when I get home from the gym at night. So it's like 8:30, 9 p.m. I check out, I spend time with my wife. I gotta have like an hour before I go to bed. Like, other than that though, I get after that list all day. And if I don't get something done, you can't, it didn't matter anyways. What is the more, like, if you get after everything, if you prioritize and execute everything in order and you put your full day into it and you don't get something done, there wasn't a better strategy. Like, getting that thing done would have sacrificed something more important. And so I just stay calm about it. I'm like, well, here's the 3 things. They roll to the next day. I go to my next day's to-do list. And I do this. I write this every day. I have like a to-do list. And then I take maybe here's the 2 or 3 things that didn't get done, and I re-amortize them back into the rank priority. And shit doesn't get done, at least I'm doing the most important stuff and getting after it. I can sleep on that.
Absolutely. And or for me too, it's like the hardest thing to do, like the most like taxing thing for me. I like kind of getting that out of the way. I'm a morning guy. So if I can get it out of the way in the morning, then I know like, hey, I've accomplished, like, even if I don't get this other stuff done, I got the big one done. Right. So that's kind of how I look at it too. So that's good. We could do a whole other podcast on this.
Anytime, man. Anytime.
Yeah. No, for sure. No, you kind of get me interested here. Your corner, what will that look like for this fight? Who's going to be making the trip to Vegas with you?
Yeah, so I'm going to have Stephen Graham in my corner. I'm going to have Lucas DaCosta is going to be my buddy for the week. So Graham he's one of my higher level pros. He is one of our assistant coaches at the gym. And Lucas DaCosta is one of my Miami fighters. I think he's 7-1, and he's about to make his pro debut as soon as someone will fight him. We've had like 10 guys turn him down, so it is what it is. But he's one of the guys that joined my gym the first month I opened. And then I have Steven Heston in my corner as well, who's another one of my undefeated amateurs. And he is a very, very good jiu-jitsu assassin on top of that. He's been out of fighting for a short minute because of a facial surgery, but he's been able to train still and roll jiu-jitsu. He just hasn't been able to do striking for a minute. But he should be back into the amateur MMA circuit in January or February. I'm very excited about that because he's a guy that doesn't waste any time. This kid gets after it from the time he gets up in the morning to the time he goes to bed. He'll hit 6 classes. Like, he'll do my full schedule, sit there and take notes on it. Even when he was injured, he would come to 6 classes and take notes. Goes all day, like every day, teaching privates when there's no classes, that kind of thing. And so he hasn't wasted his time. So he's a lot better. He's a year and a half better than he was last time, but he didn't build record during that time. So I expect him to burst back on the scene, but he's 5-0, and he'll be out there with us as well. So 3 guys that have been, at my gym since the day I opened.
How's this fight playing out on November 18th? How do you see it going down?
I'll for sure finish Nikolas Motta. I don't have any prediction on how. I'm prepared to do it many different ways, but everything to me depends on how my opponent reacts to what I'm doing. So I don't know, but I have several shots that could knock him out. He is a little chinny. I have several shots that could knock him out. And if we do engage in the grappling, I have my ways there for sure of taking people out. So we'll find out. It'll be his decision which road it goes, but he's getting put away for sure.
Remind me again, what's the latest with your contract? Because this is 4 fights, is it not?
Mm-hmm. This is my 4th fight. Yep.
So it's a big fight, right? Because obviously you win here, you get to go back to the negotiating table. And I know, again, we always talk about this, but it was a long road for you to get here. So I imagine, you come out here and you do what you say you're going to do and get a finish. I mean, that's got to be nice going back to the negotiating table.
Well, won't hurt, that's for sure. Because I do think that if I lose, they'll probably release me or probably choose not to re-sign me. These aren't conversations that I've had with anyone or that have been had or been brought to me or anything. I'm just focused on my job. So yeah, obviously, I want to win for more reasons than just getting re-signed. But, I think that I don't really think about it.
Right.
I don't know why I don't think about it. But I know the position
it might be
I'm in.
3 other things you got. I mean, you got so much going on, man. Like it's understandable. Yeah. But I'd imagine too that the way you fight, I don't know. We've seen the UFC kind of have. I know you can't even think about that, but just your fight style. It's not boring, right? It would be easier if the UFC was ready to, say, oh, this is a guy who's point fighting, but that's not really your style, right?
Traditionally, it hasn't been my style. I'm glad you said that because like, and because you know my career, because you've been following it for so long, that I I I feel like I fought very samurai, kill or be
Yeah.
killed, very like always prioritize the finish. In jujitsu, I quit competing in jujitsu because people were manipulating the little point scoring thing and running away. They'll get an advantage and run away from you. I come all the way to California to try to see who can choke who can submit who, and they don't want to do it. And so I was like, I need to be able to punch people to expedite this if they're stalling. You can't stall in MMA. So, but in the UFC, I have been a point fighter, and I did get labeled a point fighter, and I think they do view me as a point fighter, and that was brought to my attention, and it was the single most offensive thing anything has ever been said about me. Is the worst things my ears have ever heard, and they won't say that after my next one. So I don't, contracts, money, all that shit's cool, but like I'm here to for a much deeper, much more serious thing that I've been working on my whole life. And all I really want to do on November 18th is fight to my full potential. I don't care what happens or how it happens. I just want to reach my full potential. Like I felt like I did when I fought Okanovich. I felt like I had reached a frequency of fighting that was at my highest level that night. I was like, this is the highest I could attain that night. It just was such an amazing feeling and experience for a warrior to be able to go do that. And that's what I seek, and that's what I crave, and that's my reason for going back in there, is because my last 3 fights are boring to me. So if they're boring to me, they're boring to everyone. Even the Zellhuber fight's all right, but like there wasn't any, like, I definitely dominated him and controlled the fight, but there wasn't any like you could just see the fight going on and on and on. You weren't like, oh, he almost got him. And so this fight, I want to take someone out. I want to get back to the way I used to fight, where I was just in there purely hunting the finish. I'm not going to be in there playing it safe. I will be very disciplined, but I will be very aggressive. And that's the only thing on my mind for some reason. It was kind of like when I fought Okanovich. I knew the position I was in. I knew everything that had built up to that moment, and I knew that if I lost, that I would never fight in the UFC, that was my last shot. It was the only shot I got, and it was definitely going to be my last shot. And they'd passed on me on a bunch of short notice opportunities. And there was a lot of pressure to not only win, but finish and perform, because it's like they don't just sign everyone on that card. You know what I mean? And so I had to but even in that moment, like, it only brought the best out of me. It's like I even found myself in that moment. I understood it. I understood the position I was in, but it doesn't really cross my mind, because the only thing that crosses my mind is what I'm preparing to do. I'm making sure my spirit is settled, my body is healthy, and that I'm technically and tactically like as perfect as I can be in training. I'm as disciplined as I can be in my live rounds, and that carries over on fight day.
Love it. I don't know how you can't be fired up to watch this fight after this interview, Trey. Appreciate the time, man. UFC Fight Night, man. November 18th. Marathon MMA. Anything else you want to plug? As usual, I'll give you the last word.
Hey, that's it. Marathon MMA. You know how to find us. Marathon MMA _academy on Instagram. I post highlights of all of our fight teams. You can check up with jiu-jitsu too, everything we're doing. And then I'm Marathon MMA on Instagram. Check it out.